No one means to be ineffective. Just like we don't mean to not return phone calls or text messages or emails, or we don't mean to be so rushed all the time. Being the one who sets the example for the way to lead is a tough job, and many times a lonely one. Things we do become habits, quickly in fact. Whether we mean for them to or not, do something enough times and you'll even find a way to justify the habit, even if you know it's not a good one. As a leader and manager, becoming aware of habits that are jeopardizing trust with others can help move you towards getting the goals that you've set for yourself. As you lead and manage others, here are 4 habits that you'll want to replace with better ones. Habit number 1, continually breaking your word. Being more than a few minutes late to a meeting that you set can be deemed by some people that work for you as rude or disrespectful. Promising that you'll have an answer to them by a certain date and not following up puts your employee in a situation where they're forced to either confront you or sit in silence not knowing what their next right move should be. New habit number 1, don't promise it if you aren't 100% sure you can deliver on it. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you will be somewhere or call at a certain time, do your very best to be there or call at that time. If you know you're going to be late, call ahead and renegotiate the time you had set. If you think you can have something to someone by a certain time, get in the habit of saying, I want to be there at that time and I have an appointment right before it that may require me to adjust the time we've set. Will it work for you if we need to adjust the time that day? Perhaps you're used to promising you'll make deadlines and you were consistently missing them. Try this. I believe I can have this to you by Friday, and I have a few other promises I've made. What would be the last possible date that I could have this to you? Habit number 2, withholding specific positive feedback. Some bosses act like they have a certain number of positive comments to allocate per team member per year. And perhaps even worse, they consistently think that they're giving positive feedback by using general statements like, we sure do appreciate you, or thank you for all that you do, or blanket statements to whole groups that say things like, I want you to know how much all of you mean to this organization. Giving general praise is good. It just doesn't replace direct contact with specific positive feedback to individual team members. New habit number 2, look for things that are going right. Make it a habit of communicating what you are seeing that's going right to individual team members. Give specific feedback like, Suzanne, I really appreciate the way you handled that last situation with that customer. You were able to stay calm when the customer was upset and still give them good information that quickly resolved the situation. Good job. Habit number 3, talk more than you listen. How curious are you about how your team members are doing? What's their biggest challenge at work? What would make their jobs a little more easy? When is the last time you gathered your team together or scheduled a one-on-one just to discuss their biggest concerns at work? Or are you afraid of what they would say and whether you would know how to handle it? With the very engaged scores at work from Gallup coming in at like 30%. Yeah, 30% of employees say they're very engaged at work. We all have to make time to listen more and talk less. New habit number 3, get out your calendar right now and schedule time to listen to your highest potential employees this week. Make it a habit to create time each month to check in with the employees that matter most to you and the organization. Do a stay interview with them, or simply create the time to find out what's going on with them. Try some active listening techniques during that conversation. Habit number 4, micromanage. First, let's define micromanaging. Micromanagement is a management style whereby a manager closely observes or controls the work of subordinates or employees. Why you micromanage can be dependent on your behavioral style. If you're a high calculator, from DISC, which means that you're very detail-oriented and set high standards for yourself, you may have a habit of doing work yourself instead of delegating. You may also micromanage a process in a way that could be construed as demeaning or untrusting of others. If you're a high influencer type in the DISC profile, you may swoop and poop assignments and thereby not really even manage the process at all. Influencers tend to do this as freedom is super important to them, and so they shudder at the thought of micromanaging. Drivers in the DISC profile may be intensely focused on the way something gets done and when it gets done and what order it gets done in if they feel like it won't get done right and therefore the project and process will fail. They are mostly concerned with the fact that they or the team will lose in some way. Supporter types are usually so busy helping the team and each team member equally that they would be much more likely to just do it themselves than micromanage someone else. New habit number 4, ask more questions when delegating. Put the effort in up front, at the beginning of the delegating process, to train and set up effective processes that manage how things are done rather than relying on you being the go-to person each time the team member gets stuck. Making the time to create effective processes is tough, and it's worth every minute of it. If you're micromanaging the whole time, it will be hard to catch anyone doing anything right without you. The point of all this habit change talk is to point you in the direction of continual improvement, not perfection. There's not one leader I know that is on time to every single meeting, uses active listening skills 100% of the time, always knows the right questions to ask at the right times, or hasn't micromanaged a process when the stakes were high. You will not be a perfect manager because they don't exist. So polish up your apology skills when you know you haven't gotten it right. Head in the direction of the type of manager your employees would find inspiring and want to work their fannies off for. And over time, you will reap the rewards of helping others become the best they can possibly be, which, I gotta tell you, feels really good.